Hello, my name is Jackie Kirkup. Welcome to Spotlight on Souris. Today is Wednesday, March the 26th, 2025. I have with me to my right, Davison, the Mayor of Souris, Councillor Kim Eissner, and Councillor Bruce Apperly. So welcome. I'm looking forward to speaking to you tonight about Souris-Glenwood business. So it's great to have you here. So Dwayne, I'm going to turn it right over to you. I know you have some things to share with the community about what is happening. So if you could give us an update, that would be great.
There's lots happening. I appreciate you having us. You invited all the council. This is all I could squeeze in. Everybody's apparently busy, and that happens. Deputy Mayor Bruce Apperly, by the way.
Oh, well, I'm glad we clarified that. Excellent.
I want to take a minute again to offer our condolences to the Kirkup family. Bill Kirkup passed recently, and he was a huge part of our community. His fingerprints are all over this place in particular, and he's a good friend of all of us. He's going to be missed, so our condolences. We're getting busy. We're getting close to our busy time of year. We're budget going on. We're involved. Ladies and officers are involved. It's been a little bit hectic. We're a little bit later than we kind of would like to be, I think, doing this, but we've had quite the process with our software conversion and stuff going on in the office, so we're catching up, we're working hard, got lots of things planned for the summer. We've got, obviously every year there's infrastructure stuff going to be happening, and that's obviously with that 5 or 6 months of the construction season. We got winter and construction, same as the city of Winnipeg. That's what people look forward to. It's going to be a little different this year, the construction season. There's several reasons for that, but we're starting to get a lot of stuff done, and it may not be as visible to everybody, but we're looking forward to it. Hopefully the weather cooperates and we get a long fall and we get lots done. Well,
let's not talk fall yet. We're just kind of getting to that melting season, so don't fast forward too far here. So there's been lots of talk about the fact that the municipality has not hired an economic development officer. So what is the plan going forward for the CDC and the EDO?
I have just the gal that can answer that, Councillor Eissner.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll turn it to you, Kim.
Yeah, I've been on the CDC board for quite a few years, so it's been something that's kind of been in my wheelhouse for a while now. So, but we have Rhonda Simon in the office, and so she has naturally taken over a lot of those tasks and roles that community development and business relations role, and it's been really good having her in there. She's just a natural fit for it with having grown up here and a lot of her background in volunteer work and other work that she's done too. So she's been a great asset in the office there. Her and I work on tourism stuff together as well, so we'll meet and go over different things that we want to do to advertise and promote Souris-Glenwood, advertising on radio, newspaper, magazines, different things like that, signage, and we're right now in the process of updating the LED sign at the corner by LT's Corner Store there. So.
Awesome. Well, great excitement happening in that role, and I know Rhonda and you yourself, Kim, and I can definitely see the positive things that are coming forward with having her in that role. So
yeah,
awesome.
She's been great to work with.
Good news. Also, there's infrastructure projects, like you mentioned, and they're going to look a little bit different. And so is there anything further you can expand on that particular topic?
Yeah, I just touched on it. I think Bruce can probably expand on that a bit. It's going to be, it's a different year.
Yeah, okay. It's going to be a different year. We're not going to see the large, there's going to be some bigger projects, but for the most part, it's going to be a lot of smaller projects. So you're going to see us doing a lot of maybe that road maintenance. I'll talk urban and rural. So the urban side, we're going to see some of those potholes and stuff that just don't seem to get fixed up. We're going to kind of lean into that this year. Hydrants, valves, shut-off valves, we've kind of worked on that. A lot of cement work going on. Of course, out in the rural, we have graveling and some culvert replacement. We replaced a bridge just on the west side of town last year, and it's hoping if the budget, it is going to work out, that the bridge on Road 129 West, which goes from number 2 all the way to number 1. So we see that as a major road in our area. So we're gonna replace that bridge. And the other thing really we're going to be doing is we're going to do forcefully more inspections on the bridges in all areas, and we kind of have a plan for that going forward. And the other thing you're going to not see really is we're going to be lining sewer lines. So we wash camera, and then the company will tell us this is suitable for lining, and we'll go in line. So we actually have a 3 or 4 year plan on doing some lining and refurbish our infrastructure. So again, it's all kind of tied to the budget. So we can get our operations manager, our urban and rural supervisors have been working on a plan, and we've been working with them, and I think we've got it figured out for the next few years. So.
Well, that sounds great. I'm sure the potholes being fixed
Yeah.
will be welcomed.
You're not.
I'll add a bit to that. Bruce, he said we replaced a bridge and we're gonna replace them. We actually refurbished them, just repaired them.
Okay.
Initially, we'd been told they had to be replaced, but we found a firm that could replace them. So they're in essence they're being replaced because they're going from not being able to handle the loads that they're required to being right up to snuff, and probably for the next 20 years or so. So it's great. The other thing Bruce didn't mention, the reason that we're kind of not going to be doing big paving projects and stuff is that, you know, we've got a lot of aging equipment that has to be, that's, you know, we've kind of left with that has to be repaired and or replaced, and we're trying to figure out which avenue we're going to go with a lot of that, which direction we go with a lot of that stuff, but it has to be done. So in conjunction with the infrastructure plan for the sewer lines, water lines, hydrants, valves, etc., we gotta try and you know, get some equipment going to spend at the same time. So
Right.
being very careful about knocking down our equipment reserves and our infrastructure reserves, and you know, and then also to that, Bruce, also the people don't realize the water and sewer, that's utility, and the utility has to fund itself. So
Okay.
our infrastructure reserves aren't for that. Our infrastructure reserves are for bridges and roads and asphalt, but the water. Our utility budget has to fund all the utility work.
Okay.
We don't have a ton of money in the utility reserve. Matter of fact, we've got virtually zero. So we're doing a water rate study, and we're gonna try and address that going forward. But yeah, so we got to be really. That's why Bruce alluded to it's going to be a several-year process to try and get this utility stuff done.
Right.
So.
Just to, you know, and just ask a question. I know you're working on the budget, and so is there a time, or perhaps the community's maybe missed an opportunity to hear the budget, or is that the next
We're not
step
there
when
yet.
you're not, when you get there though, the community would?
We always present the financial
Okay.
plan in a public meeting. Yes.
Okay, so that will be happening down the road.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in the head scratching stage right now.
Yes. And I can't, like, I certainly imagine that's not an easy task to be trying to balance a budget and figure things out, and
It's a challenge because, as you know, costs have gone up significantly on everything, and there's some unknowns on costs. You know, we get pricing on something today, and it potentially could be significantly different by the summertime,
Right.
based on what's going on economically. But we're fortunate because the group we have is super engaged, and they're very thoughtful. It's very fulsome conversations we have, and it's a good process.
excellent. Well, that's wonderful to hear. Good. So we're in this lovely complex that's going to turn into a great, huge community curling event here next week. But the last time you were here, Dwayne, you had mentioned an engineering firm was involved in a study for this particular place. So do you have any further news to share on?
I'm not sure where we're at last time, Jackie, but we've been talking to them now for well over a year, and they've gone through several steps in the process. Of, we've talked about perhaps enhancing the complex. There's a couple of options. Obviously, you replace the hall, repair the hall, which we don't think is economically viable, or to enhance the complex and make it kind of fit in with our vision of what the community wants and needs for the next literally 40 or 50 years. And they are in the process of getting a little more detailed plan together for us. I think it's called a Class C estimate, which gives 15 to 30% plus or minus, which is a significant difference. Obviously, that could be 30 to 60%
Yes.
total. And then once we have that together, we're going to have to start some public meetings and get some public discourse on where the community wants to go with it. And then subsequent to that, we obviously have to make some decisions on what the process is going to look like. So
Right.
that's where that right now. So we haven't heard back from them for a while. I expect we'll hear from them, in the next several weeks, actually, I think. And then we can hopefully get something going. We had hoped to have public meeting prior to the farmers getting in the fields. I'm not sure we're gonna get there.
Right.
But that was our hope.
Well,
So
you know
that's-
what, you can't control some things, that's for sure, and, sometimes with things like this, it takes a little bit of time, and expectedly so, and,
And we're trying to do a lot of research and stuff too to make sure that we're, putting the best things into the community as well. So
Right.
like Duane and myself and a couple other community members have gone to other rinks that have been in similar situations and complexes and talked with other communities that have been through the same thing. So
right,
trying to use that to help us move forward.
yes. The absolute hub of the community, I feel, is this place that we are sitting in, so, personally, I think it's so important to keep this place going, and, for the
Fortunate to have.
future, we are absolutely, and sometimes I think to myself, like, what a, looking ahead, we're 20, almost 30, even longer, this place has been here.
It's 30 years.
And,
this year.
the foresight of those people that started the planning and building of this, and then I look at some other communities and they're just starting, and I think, wow, I feel like we were like before our time almost in a way, and I felt that was good, that was excellent for our community, and I think about the different, say, teams or events that do come here because we are
Significant.
yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Bruce, go ahead.
You
Yeah.
touched on the one earlier, Survivor.
Mhm.
Like, and how this facility just comes to life with just that, but
Yes.
there's many hockey tournaments, the
Oh.
Cougars or the Elks, or
Yeah.
we've had a lot of good memories in this
Oh,
building for
goodness,
sure.
yes, absolutely.
What's interesting, I've talked to several people, excuse me, the last couple of years, that they were kind of against this when it was going on. It was pretty contentious,
Mhm.
and they're sure happy that it was built.
Yes,
I can pretty confidently, I can say with fair degree of confidence that what we're looking to do now in this area,
Mhm.
if we go forward, no matter which direction we go, there's gonna be the same kind of issues. And, all we can do is try to get the majority of folks in town behind it and do
Mhm.
whatever it believes is best for the future, so
absolutely.
that's our goal.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear about these plans coming out soon.
We're kind of excited too. Like, I honestly
Cool.
think it's an opportunity. It's an issue we gotta deal with. It's been a challenge for several years. I think, you have to look forward and it's an opportunity, I think.
Yeah.
We're kind of being forced into it, but so I think we gotta take advantage of it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's
Personally.
great. Good. We talked briefly just when you started about some new municipal software, and I think Kim is quite involved in that. So can you give us a bit of an update, Kim, on the
Yeah.
software project?
So last year we started the process of switching from an existing software that we were using that wasn't really meeting the capabilities and the needs of what we needed in a busy office in a medium-sized community. So we switched to a program called Munisoft, and that conversion started late fall, end of the year last year. So there was a lot of work going into that with the ladies in the office having to move the data over, and it's not just a matter of unplugging one and plugging in another and everything's good to go kind of thing. So they've spent a lot of time and they've been working really hard to get all of the information transferred over and accurate and fix any bugs that have come up with the changeover. But we've already seen a significant improvement in the efficiency of the staff time and efforts and how much time it takes them to do stuff in the office. It's already made a huge difference in there with how much work they can get done in a day versus before. So,
Well, that's
yeah.
awesome news.
yeah, so it's nice to see that working already.
Yes, yeah, and that hard work at the
Yeah.
start is paying off, and
Yeah,
it's
and it'll just
working.
continue to, right?
Yes.
Like it's, yeah.
So was that like the water bill? Is that why the water bills look a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
different? So
Correct.
that's
Yeah.
because of the
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
software.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, so
The
then
checks do
there's
too, if anybody cuts you a check, they look different.
Well, I haven't got one from the town lately, but if you're writing them, I'll stop in.
I know a guy that signs them.
I do too.
Exactly.
All right, you two, after the
Yeah.
meeting.
So the Munisoft program too also has pieces that you can add into it, so that you saw that utility portion.
Mhm.
But the other thing is, we talked about equipment earlier, or projects, so there's a public works side to it that our operations manager's just grabbed onto, so she's putting in, all our projects and all our equipment, and
Yeah.
so you can see the life expectancy of stuff like
Mm.
that, so our
Like an
asset
asset management.
yeah, our asset management plan's kind of in there, so there's components added into there
Right.
that it's an awesome system,
Oh,
so.
that's good news.
And further what Kim was saying, like we probably a year ago, we thought perhaps we would have to hire an extra person in the office,
Mhm.
and we're pretty confident now that with the software, once everybody gets conversant on it, that we're gonna be fine with what we have, so that's some ROI.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's also support was a big issue with the other program. I think that other program, you know, when its best before date was long past, but I think, you know, several years ago, support was adequate. But the last several years, the company that owns that other software is based in the States, and they're a huge company, and this is a small part of what they do. Whereas this company, Munisoft, based in Canada, Saskatchewan, I believe, and they got like 550 municipalities across the country is what they do, and
Wow.
the support's been fantastic,
Yeah.
so that helps a lot.
Yeah, and that's their business, right?
Yeah.
Supporting municipalities, so that's
Correct.
nice when you just have that concentrated effort to
For sure.
support the particular
Yeah,
type of.
it's makes everybody's life easier,
Yeah,
for sure.
awesome.
You know, everybody spent time on hold, right?
Mhm.
This is
Yeah,
better.
and nothing's more frustrating than spending time on hold. There was recently another development plan meeting. What is the status of the development plan and what has come out of it that you perhaps did not expect?
I think we can probably all kind of answer that a little bit at different perspectives, but from my perspective, the status of it right now is we've approved the draft, I think, the final draft. And so it has to go to the provincial government for another review. I think once they approve it, then we can kind of set it in place. But it was interesting for me, you know, through it before, you know, what they do. They come out here and they do a demographic analysis and then they look at the history of the community and history of like communities, and they're trying to forecast what this place is going to look like several years down the road, and you know, they're forecasting a certain percentage of growth in the urban area. And along with that, there's going to be continued population decrease in the rural areas as there becomes less and less farms, and the farms get bigger.
Right.
And so with that, we have to try and plan for the population increase. We're already obviously we have a housing shortage right now.
Yes.
And that's just going to continue to be exacerbated by the population growth. So we have to look at trying to, you know, where can we grow, and where do we need to grow, and you know, and with that, then there's infrastructure issues, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And Bruce could probably speak to that. That's what we've done. So that's the that's the unexpected part, is the infrastructure issues that we discovered as we started looking to expand.
Yeah, so that's again, the infrastructure, your water and sewer bills pay for the infrastructure, so anything to do with water or wastewater has to come out of that utility, so we can't
Right.
we can't move tax dollars over into that utility to do that. So if we're expanding into a subdivision, or if we dig up a street and replace that sewer line in that street, that sewer line and that work is charged back to the utility.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
there's a bit of a juggling. Of
Yes.
course, we get lots of funding help from different levels of the government. So that's kind of what we lean on to help us get some of those projects done. So things like lining the sewer lines, again, comes out of that utility and is a little cheaper and extends our life expectancy of our infrastructure.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
I should have asked at the start of the question. I feel like I recall this was the meeting that several people attend, but it was about, I remember looking at like the commercial sector and where those business, that zoning was, and then residential, and then looking to see where, you know, that expansion could happen. Okay, so this is, there will be more things coming down further about this particular.
There's not much.
Plan.
You would have been at the earlier meeting probably that was.
The very first
hall.
one,
Yeah,
I
we just
wasn't
had-
able to get to the other one,
Yeah, there
but,
wasn't a significant amount of change on what was initially proposed. A couple of zoning changes, you know, forecasted subdivisions. But other than that, there was just some semantical changes that the government had asked for, just grammatical and verbiage that were changed, and it wasn't a whole lot different. So yeah, so now, you know, the issue we have is, like Bruce said, any infrastructure upgrades have to be funded by the utility. And obviously, like we don't have time to sitting there. But we found that, you know, kind of all the corners of town, instead of running normal sewer and water, they kind of got smaller and smaller, so you can't really add on.
Interesting.
So we've got some challenges for sure, but it's been an interesting exercise to
Oh, I
go
bet.
through this.
Yeah.
And again, we have a housing shortage that's immediate, but the process of getting all this stuff done is not gonna be immediate.
No. No.
It's interesting because you look and you think there's all these fields and space around us, we can just grow that way, but
Yes.
the infrastructure and zoning and things like that don't allow for that, so we
Mhm.
have to work with what we're allowed to do from all of that stuff as well,
Right,
so.
yeah, maybe a bit of creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep looking at the cushion of the couch for some extra money, but it's just
Yeah,
not there.
not happening?
Yeah.
It's
So-
good, reassuring to hear this, just knowing that there's a process and a plan coming, not so much it's a proactive approach, not this reactive approach. Like, yes, there's a housing shortage, right? But, I mean, that, like you said, is not an immediate thing that can be fixed. But I do think down the road, like you're thinking about, the population is still gonna continue to grow. I think our proximity to Brandon is, we're
It's our
lucky.
biggest asset.
It
It's
is
our
our
biggest
biggest asset, and I think we talked about that before. And infrastructure, like this arena, the pool, like daycare, businesses, like that's attracting
Hospital,
the
school,
younger, families to come here. So, yeah, I think we're maybe, might not be in the best situation at the moment because there's a housing shortage, but it's maybe a good problem that people are wanting to come here and live
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely. And we went last week, I think, was it to the Manor and talked to some folks there, and one of those events that the mental wellness folks put on, and it was a great meeting. And they were asking about more seniors housing, kind of similar to what the new hotel.
Oh, yes.
And so we told them, we're very aware of it, and we're working hard on it. There's stuff going on behind the scenes, but
Yes.
it's a process.
Yeah.
We understand totally that we could use more seniors housing, and we're looking at interesting, a lady sent me a letter about tiny homes and stuff like that, and we'd already been thinking about it, but it kind of got us a little more motivated, and we've got plans for perhaps some of those, but seniors could be of those as well.
Yeah.
And we're working on it, and we're trying to accelerate the process as best we can with some of the available land we have that may be close to services.
Right.
The bigger picture subdivision stuff is going to take a lot longer,
Yes.
so we're trying to.
And we can't build these things for everybody.
Oh, goodness,
But all
no.
we can do is give them the places, hopefully, and make, clear the path for them, developers and people to build those things.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Totally, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Well, and I can add to that I've been working with the Public Works Manager. We have a list of properties in municipal-owned properties that we're looking to, firstly, just figure out a price on something that maybe isn't in one of our subdivisions that we currently have, but what services are actually there? Is it right there, or is it down the street?
Right.
How much, so we're gonna hopefully soon have a database that we can provide on our website, or if somebody inquires that, there's a lot here at whatever street, that, the water sewer's right there, or it's low pressure sewer, but
Right.
water's there, or if somebody's inquiring about buying somebody else's lot, that service is there.
Okay.
And then it also will help us, that future planning, to
Yes.
be able to plan to some areas that have perfectly nice lots, but maybe don't have that best of service, so.
Right. Okay, well, that's all sounding really great. Too bad we all didn't have that crystal ball, right?
Yeah.
Should have bought some land, yeah.
So the golf course is also a lovely place to come here in the summertime, and we're pretty fortunate to have the golf course. We do, and it's beautiful. But there's some DFA projects out there that aren't completed yet. So I think, Bruce, you were going to give us an
I know
update on
nothing
that.
about-
No? I feel like you were telling me, or maybe it was your wife, golfing 2-3 times a day, maybe now that you're
Yeah,
retired?
yeah,
Was that a true story?
well, I actually golf more when I work than I
Oh, of course.
But there is, back a few years ago, we had a high rain event that if you're out at the golf course on the deck, having lunch, you'll see a new bridge that's been built there. That was first part of the DFA project. Over the winter, or actually last summer, we started on the number 3 green, moving it because we're losing the slope, so that green that's there eventually will probably fall into the bank. So we wanted to shore the bank up, but we had to end up moving the green. So our contractor, we've had some, just didn't get all the work done at the end of the year, so we got to finish that up and get it seeded and get it some water on it, and hopefully by the end of the year we'll be able to utilize that. again, it's a DFA project. Went along number 2 at Vac T-Box, there was some rock work done there because we had some erosion, so when you turn your cart around, you're not going to fall into the creek because it's all been shored back up. And then just recently been approved to, on number 5, to, I guess, basically move the creek over to where it actually started out. And so, yeah, hopefully we'll see that over the summer, or you know, midsummer, have that done, and that'll be the end of the DFA projects out there for that. So
yeah, having a river and a creek, like, it certainly has its challenges, you know, with, who would have thought?
right.
I was just thinking if that number 3 green ended up in the creek, I might hit the green.
Yeah, it's the walk down to the green that'd be the problem. But, and also at the golf course, I would just add that we've worked with the Souris River Watershed District to look at erosion control and things like that. And they've been really fabulous to work with too. So there's things going on there as well on the golf course side, but that's another meeting you can have with them.
Okay. Well, okay, are you gonna come?
Or he can come back.
Yeah, sure, you can come back. We can
I'll
have
pass that off to the new president.
a whole Bruce show. Also, too, I've been talking to Stacey Murphy. She's been looking after the fundraising at the daycare, and they're talking about an expansion possibly happening there. Kim, do you have anything that you can share with us about that?
Yeah, we have some really good news with that. The government is going to be providing a prefab building. The school division and the daycare and the municipality are all trying to work together to get this in place, but they were approved last November for the actual facility to come in. And yeah, so that will probably be put over by the school somewhere.
Right.
And then we need to get the infrastructure again sorted out.
Yes. Yeah.
And and then it will increase daycare spots in the municipality like significantly. So it's pretty exciting. So they're working hard and doing a lot of fundraising to help, because it's not just like the building itself is coming from the government, but there's a lot of other costs involved with, you know, preparing the land and the space and parking lot space and fencing and all the other requirements that were necessary in order to get the building. So yeah, but it's exciting. We have a building coming anyway.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely, and great. Another great problem of needing more daycare spaces.
So hopefully
in our community.
We'll see the building in town next summer sometime. I'm not sure when exactly it will start to be able to run, but that's kind of the timeline right now. So.
Awesome. Well, that's you're right, very exciting news for the community.
Yes.
We talk a lot about, or I see the handy van going around town quite often, so it's nice to see that it's being used, and what a great service. Is there anything you can share with us, Bruce, about the handy transit?
I sure can. We need more marks.
Yeah, that cameraman
does
a bit of double duty, doesn't he?
The service needs drivers. We're kind of in a critical spot with full-time drivers and casual drivers, and we are operating 2 buses. So we've kind of recently had a little bit of a meeting to just look at what we're doing. We're going to still keep looking. You know, do we need 2 buses? I think we do. We have a lot of dates where the one bus would be to a medical trip in Brandon, and then we have people locally that need to move around. So part of our review is probably in the next little while we'll be looking at a smaller type that you would see in some centers, like a minivan, so to speak, where it's maybe 1 or 2 chairs for those trips to longer places like Brandon, or just easier maneuverability. Rhonda and Ashland do our coordinating of the handy van and the trips and stuff. Last year there was about 196 round trips, so that's coming to your house, picking you up, taking to your spot, come back and getting you, and taking you home.
Wow.
So that's $5 a trip, so $5 to get you there and $5 to get you home. And it's a wonderful service, but we do need drivers. And the shortage of drivers is going to end up, and it already is affecting us. So if we don't have a driver one day, we can't. So if let's say one bus is out and we don't have a casual driver, we can't offer the service if somebody calls.
Yes.
Or there's points where we have no drivers. So if it's short notice, no drivers, then we have to cancel trips. Or so our levels of service are gonna be affected by how many drivers we have. So we need drivers. And did I say that?
You did.
We could use some drivers.
Yes, but can you tell us how a person can become a driver?
It's basically just, I believe, a Class 4 license, and just actually call into Rhonda at the office for a 35200, and she'll talk you through it and let you know what the shifts are, what the pay is, and so forth. So
any like training, like first aid training and stuff is provided by the municipality as well. So.
And also, talking about the smaller ones, potentially you could drive those with a Class 5.
Yeah.
So that would maybe help if we had to get one of those, just it may be easier to get a driver then.
Right.
But we're not sure. I think there's a criteria. I think it's number of passengers.
Yeah.
It makes you a Class
I
4.
believe
So I think we might get away with that. So that might be further incentive for us to go to the smaller one.
And so with the smaller bus, there's, the municipality does have a reserve where we've been putting money into, and some of the funding we get for the handy van goes in there. So we do have some money started to build up, and we can get, there's provincial funding, there's service group funding, so we're just kind of tapping in to see what's there, and neighboring communities have gotten a new vehicle, and so we'll be reaching out to get some information from them too. So again, the only thing is Ron and Ashlyn do a fabulous job. All the staff in the office do that too, but I don't know if I mentioned it, but we could really use some help with drivers.
Well, I sure hope the phone rings and there's some drivers coming forward.
1, 2, 3, yeah, I'd come.
You got all the points. Yeah, what a wonderful service for the community, and I'd be ashamed
And
to,
it's not,
if it, I don't think we're gonna ever lose it, but if we're, having to turn away people and cancel things, that's, very unfortunate, but so, yeah, drivers, everyone, drivers. Sorry, Kim, I did cut you off and I didn't
I
mean
was
to do
just
that.
say it's not just like shopping trips and stuff, right? These are appointments that are important for
Yes.
people to get to. So it's we need to have this service available for people to be able to get to their doctors and different things like that they need to get to. And we don't want to have to cancel doctor's appointments that are critical for
Absolutely.
the aging population.
Yeah, I certainly agree.
Yeah.
And specialist appointments, right? We all know how that works out. You get a date and that's the day you gotta be there.
Yeah, there's no
So
change
it's-
in anything. Yeah, okay, well, that's wonderful news to hear about that. We have a few other topics here. Water pre-treatment. Not sure who's gonna take that on, or
Well,
actually what's maybe the topic about.
Well, that's further to what we're talking about with our infrastructure. So our reverse osmosis system, because of the water coming in from the wells east of town, just the quality of the water, they're treated with chemical, and the membranes, excuse me, I can't remember the number, like 33 membranes or something, but if we replaced every single membrane, I think it's close to $80,000, but we spent about 30-some last year, and we're gonna spend again this year. And they're replaced, excuse me, I think about every 3 years, depending on usage. Significant cost. So the pre-treatment, we're looking at putting out by the wells east of town, and in a building there. And with that pre-treatment, these membranes should last 10 to 12 years.
Okay,
So there's significant ROI on the pre-treatment, and so
Right.
it needs to be done. So that's kind of our next big project that we're scheduling. With the water rate study, they want a list of projects for the next several years. Excuse me. And of course, they have to approve them, then they work with you for helping fund them. It's usually 50 cent dollars. So we have to figure out how to, our water rates will have to be set commensurate with what our spending needs to be.
yes.
And so, I mean, we'll say it out loud, there's gonna be a water rate increase. So that has to fund these projects. Excuse me, and then, they will help us out, hopefully. So it's a big job, and it needs to be done, and it's been talked about for a long time. But obviously, like I said, you can see a return on that investment, so it makes no sense to not do it.
Right. These membranes you're talking about, every 3 years you said, but with this pre-treatment, you'll be able to get a bit of a longer life in the membranes?
10 to 12 years.
Oh, I see.
So it'll be 2 to 3 times for sure.
Right. Okay.
I think they're 3 to 5 right now, depending on use.
Well, and our water, wastewater staff have been fabulous, because they figured a way to wash or, scrub the filters that are in there, so they can
Okay.
do a wash on them. So it
Yes.
does extend their life a little bit, but again, they're still not lasting what they were originally
Like,
constructed,
yeah.
yeah.
I've always really been quite interested in the water treatment plant and just how it all, works. Like, is that something, that could probably be another whole topic just to have
Absolutely.
a discussion about.
Absolutely.
Maybe, perhaps I'm not the only one that has some curiosity about, how we get to drink this water. We're so
We-
fortunate.
We can get you full-time experience,
Oh.
just
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
the
Oh,
office
is that
and
right?
apply.
Oh, I
Exactly.
understand how that
Get
might
you-
work.
Get you intimate
Okay.
knowledge of it, yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm not going to necessarily retract that statement, but something I've always just sort of had a little inkling about, wanting to know a little bit more information about. So I'll maybe take you guys up on an offer someday and go for a tour.
Sure.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec, I know that's also a big topic here in town. I know we have a pool that's needing some
Yeah, there's a
things
lot of,
upgraded on it, and so is there anything you can provide with some updates on what's happening in that area of the
well, a lot of moving
community?
parts on the Parks and Rec piece, and Bruce and Kim could get into a bit here, but the one thing with Parks and Rec, and I'm sure people are aware, it was run for several years by the Parks and Rec board, and so the staff reported to the manager reported to the board. We've taken that over from the municipality, as a municipality. Several reasons for that. The biggest is the risk and liability associated with it. They're municipal employees working in a municipal facility. There's insurance and everything else, but anything goes sideways, it comes to the municipal office.
Right,
And it just, I think, excuse me, it's provide the staff a little more support than what they're perhaps used to, and we think it could be a little more efficient and effective. And also, this facility is, it's a big asset, you alluded to that, it's a big cost to it, a lot of maintenance, a lot of things need to be done on an ongoing basis, and we just think with the numbers that are being bandied about for projects that need to be done in this, and in the park and the pool, those are decisions that need to be made at the council level, and so it's kind of become a committee of the whole thing, where all the council's involved in all those decisions. And so far, I think it's working very well. We just had a meeting with the manager this morning, and I think it's going to work very well. But it's a change, and of course, as always with change, there's there's some hesitation. But I think it's the proper thing to do, and obviously we all agree. It's every decision we make, there's seven people involved in that decision.
that's right,
So
yes.
then Kim could probably talk more about like the pool liner and stuff that's going on.
Yeah, the pool liner is past its due date as well.
By a couple of years, actually.
They've been band-aiding it for a little while now. So this summer we're doing a fundraiser, and we have Quick Dick McDick coming, comedian from Saskatchewan, June
June the
6th.
6th, correct, yeah.
Yeah, this is your opportunity.
Yeah.
You can advertise this.
Yeah, so
Just-
tickets, you can get tickets by calling the complex here, and Carol and Karina will get you tickets. All the preferred tables are all sold out, so
Okay.
we're about halfway through our ticket sales. So,
Oh, that's awesome
yeah,
news.
so and it's the show, there'll be, bar, and then the show, and then Beef on a Bat after as well, with more entertainment. And he does stick around and
Okay.
do meet and greet, and he'll visit with you, come sit at your table, and shoot the breeze with you and stuff like that. So
I'm meeting him,
it's-
like,
Yeah.
okay,
it's-
like if you can get me a fast pass
Right,
to meet
right.
him, I want to meet
Probably
this guy.
line up an interview for you.
He does all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. And just so people are aware, the reason we're fundraising, the liner for that pool current cost is $270,000.
Whoa.
That's it's a startling amount.
It is, my stomach kind of just did a few slips there.
Yeah, so,
Wow,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's startling.
incredible.
And,
How old is the pool? I'm trying to remember, which really should be in my memory
I-
bank quite
Yeah.
freshly,
Should be
because
yours,
I
exactly.
was pretty on the project there.
Yeah, so was I. So
Well-
when we're
The
council,
liners-
it's gotta be 12 or 14
The
years ago
liner-
now.
The liner's 15 years old, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
okay, and
Is it
I'm
not- is it not?
I
assuming,
think it's
It's
about
14 or
that, and
14 or
that's
15
the
years.
original one, 'cause,
Yeah.
Okay.
So 14 or 15
like my
years.
kids learned to swim in the old pool, so.
yes, and mine did as well.
Yeah.
And I
so
remember
it's gotta be somewhere in the.
taking my kids and laying sod around for the new pool.
Yeah.
And what a lesson that was for them. That's hard work.
Yeah, things I'm not gonna do when I'm done high school, yeah.
Yeah, lay
exactly.
sod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh, well, that's great news to hear that, be fun to bring the community together for a fun evening event, and know that the funds raised are going to a good cause. Because
Yeah.
again, the pool attracts a lot of people, our campground attracts a lot of people, and from a wide range of other communities and provinces.
Miles,
Yes,
that's crazy.
my sister lives in Alberta, and I know she's not the only one, and you know, her kids come home here to swim,
Mhm.
and often her friends, like it's almost like a little school reunion down there for a lot of different people when they all arrive home to have their swimming lessons, so
So we're fortunate to have it.
absolutely.
I keep saying, tell people, we're fortunate. Mother Nature was very kind to us with the creek and the river and what we have. And
Yes, wasn't she?
It's remarkable.
Yeah,
We're lucky.
yeah, we are. A couple other things here I see on the list. So the Westman Mental Wellness and Suicide Prevention Committee is very active in our community, and I heard you just talk that you had gone to the Seniors Tuesday
Yeah.
group.
Time
and have-
out Tuesday.
Yeah, timeout Tuesday, I think that's great, because my kids used to get in a timeout chair,
Mhm.
right? So I kind of chuckle, it's like, okay, seniors, it's your timeout, and you.
Well, we were in the timeout, and they
Oh,
were grilling us.
I
so.
see,
Yeah.
okay.
It was great. It was a great event, and we look forward to doing that on a regular basis. But what I wanted to talk about was they've got because of the funding they received with the grant through Redford, I don't know if you
Yes.
recall that, there was a big push.
Oh, yes.
They've set up a counseling space. We've given them a space in the basement of the Civic Center, and they're there. I believe it's the last Thursday of every month, and it's a safe space. It's quiet. It's out of the way, and it's discreet. And so there's a counselor here on a monthly basis, and they're appreciative of having the space, but we're very appreciative of the services they provide, and it's a big deal for our community, so we're happy to help.
Yeah, that's wonderful news. Yeah, they've certainly done a lot of work and to get this particular project off the ground, and I think it's being well received, and
And the community got behind them to get that too. Like, it was so
Totally.
great to
Yeah.
see everybody voting and
Mhm.
supporting it too. So
yeah. Was it $30,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just
Tremendous.
amazing.
it's a lot.
Yeah. Pretty
so
cool.
Now we gotta look at how to fund this going forward,
Right.
right? I don't think they'll get the same grant every year, but they do fantastic work, so we gotta figure out how to keep the stream flowing
Yes.
for them.
Yeah,
That's a big challenge.
yeah, for
But
sure it will
otherwise
be.
just stop.
Yeah, no stopping,
Yeah,
no
for
stopping.
sure.
We all know how important that is, kind of seems to be
is.
on the forefront of a lot of people's minds.
Yep, it is.
What else, Dwayne, here?
Well, I was
feel
gonna
we
get-
almost had most of the
I was gonna
list.
get Bruce to talk about, briefly about what we're doing with the emergency management, emergency measures rather, and our municipal emergency coordinator. We another thing that we kind of just, with amalgamation and all the stuff that the council has gone through in the last several years, it's one of those things that kind of, it was always going to be done, and we jumped on it now, and we're going to try and get a plan set up, and Bruce has been involved with that a little bit. I don't think we're a long ways down the road yet, but at least we're starting to go down the road, right?
Yeah, so Dusty Williams is our emergency coordinator, and I know he's been working with Pam and getting our emergency response plan ready, and it has to be into the government, so I believe that's all been done and it's been submitted, so.
Okay.
We've worked and had a few sessions with Western Caucus and that with our area representative for the emergency office. So the one thing I would say, maybe as a sidebar to that, is we have a system in town where we notify you of issues ongoing. So it's called Code Red.
Mhm.
So you can get it by going to sourismanitoba.com or calling into the office and providing information. So for instance, if we have a water break in a certain part of town, I know I don't have Facebook, but you see it on Souris Manitoba Talks that there's a water break, there's not going to be water. Well, if you're on Code Red, you will get contacted to say you're going to be out of water from this time to this time, or this is going on from this time to this time. So any emergency
Or power outage before
Power outage,
Christmas, right?
yeah.
Right.
So we can provide that information that we have to you to let you know what's going on. So it's simple. The messages come on your phone. You'll get actually one morning phone call and a text message once a month.
Right.
But so yeah, I would encourage everybody to sign up for it. It's an important thing.
It's interesting, that last water plant issue we had, the code red had gone out, but there's people on Facebook like, why is the water out? Well, if you had code red, you would know.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Do you know, and this is probably putting you on the spot, like,
Oh, do it.
Okay.
Just likes being put on the spot.
so say we have 1,000 residents, what percentage would be? Like, is
That's
there
a
like
loaded
even a
question.
50%?
No, I don't think it's a 50. no.
Really?
No,
Really?
Definitely not 50.
Personally, I know that, like, I have definitely, you know, I have the code red, and thank goodness I do, because, you know, you might not always be in town or have access to, say, Facebook or whatever, but to get the notification is
Yeah.
awesome, and I do encourage
That's a
people
good
to.
question. We should look at that
Yeah.
statistic.
Yeah, just
And-
curious about the
And
stats.
actually, I said I don't think it's 50, and if it's 50, that's still not enough.
Oh,
Right?
yes, I know.
think the goal is to get as many people on it, so, and it work, weather events, you know,
Mhm.
any emergency in town, that message is gonna come on that code red, so.
Right. I feel just before Christmas, was there one, or around there, about like the snowstorm that was coming? Was there? Maybe I'm,
I don't recall.
I think that was a provincial one.
but okay.
Yeah, it's been-
Yeah, maybe I'm
Yeah.
getting them mixed up. Sometimes there's a lot of emergencies
Yeah.
that
Oh,
happen.
yeah. It's a great system.
Well, that's awesome, maybe, and I know you know, are saying it here, and I'm sure you try, you know, your best to keep getting that word out to people to, you know, go on the website, like you said, and it does take just a few seconds or minutes, pardon me, to enter your information,
Yeah.
and away you go, so.
And actually, there is, because I wondered what the information we had, and there, in the breezeway or the entryway going into the municipal office, there is a pamphlet sheet there, information sheets for multiple things, and the code red is in there. So if you
Okay.
want to talk to anybody, you just want the details, it's either on our website or go, when you
Right.
get an email, whip over and grab a sheet.
Right. I had ended up having to change my cell phone number in the summertime. Never even thought about, you know, changing my code red number until a few months would go by, and I'd see the water breaks. I'm like, how come nobody's calling me? Like, what's going on? And then, Jackie, you need to update your phone number. So
That happens.
Some poor guy who lives somewhere else got your old phone
he
number.
was getting like all the info.
My wife's getting older.
Well, who cares that that's happening, Service? I don't live there. But yeah, I was missing it. I was missing that monthly,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
check
Well,
in
yeah,
too,
exactly,
right?
yeah, the
Well, how come
test
that's
and all
not
that.
happening?
So the other thing we want to talk about a little bit, I've talked at other interviews, is about the Community Safety Officer Program. We've done a lot more, we've gotten a little deeper into it. We're reasonably certain we're going to pursue it. We're trying to set up a meeting with the Justice Department. What we're going to look at doing is getting the neighboring municipalities involved.
Okay,
We're not convinced it's a full-time position in Souris. It may be, it may not be. I think if it was an actual police officer, maybe full-time, but it's a community safety officer does a lot of the stuff that police officer does, but there's a limit to it. So our thoughts is that, you know, if we have a CSO and he's gonna go drive through Hart, he heads south of town, when he hits a grassland, he kind of writes down his mileage and time of day, and off he goes, and then they would fund the time he spends there.
okay.
So shows the flag, maybe writes a couple of tickets, you know, Hartney's a wild place, so. And then they get the revenue for those tickets. And as he
Okay.
comes home the other way, he'll be driving through Sifton on the way home,
Right.
and so anything happens in that municipality, you go to downtown Delow and stop the party in there, they get that funding. And then, you know, maybe, we don't know, maybe they go to Alexander, maybe they go as far as Rivers, we don't know where it's gonna go, but we
Right.
wanna work out, with a regional, because none of these communities are large enough to have one on their own.
Right.
We maybe could, because we're the largest community in this area, but we'll see.
Yes.
But so if we do it on a regional basis, and it's interesting, on the other side of our region, Carberry is looking at something similar kind of, Carberry is a hub.
Yeah,
And so the Justice Department is eager to talk to us about, because that's exactly the model they want to kind of test out, because of the fact that there's so many areas like this where the population base isn't great.
right.
And this community safety jobs take a lot of pressure off the RCMP. Do a lot of the, and they're not unimportant, but it's the kind of lower level police work that the
Right.
RCMP, they can then focus on things that are a little more serious, a little more major. So it's a big thing. We know police visibility is an issue for all of our communities, and that's not going to change in the near future for sure. So if we could augment the police and help them out, it'd be a big thing for all of us. And you know, people do stuff because they know there's no police presence. It's simple.
I don't
Right?
disagree.
It's no different than, you know, you see your parents' taillights go down the driveway and all of a sudden, you know, the party starts in the house and that's,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, same.
You know, or guys that I know went to school did that stuff. But
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, we won't necessarily call out anybody.
That's a whole
then.
nother show.
Yeah,
We don't
this
talk
show's
about
getting ramped right up.
But yeah, that's, and so, we're pretty deep into it, and I think it's something we have to do.
Mhm.
And there's a, you know, significant cost to start up, but we're hoping to get some assistance with that as well.
Right.
And to talk about funding on an ongoing basis, because we get, it's public safety funding, I think it's identified as from the province,
Okay,
which goes towards the RCMP. But the municipalities that don't have an agreement with the RCMP don't pay anything for policing. So all these rural municipalities, they've never paid anything for policing, they still get policing. So they would pay for the time that this, you know, but we would like to see them get some funding, so somehow if they could help with the startup cost of that as well, right?
yeah,
So-
yeah. Well, yeah, that's like,
So
yeah,
it's
another,
it's a big project.
It is a
There's
big
lot of stuff to
project,
do
yeah.
with it. Yeah, so that's.
and it makes sense to coordinate with other, you know, communities if that can happen, and.
Yeah, it helps everybody.
Yeah,
You know, and they literally, Hartney couldn't afford it on their own, I doubt maybe Melita could even, like, so maybe Melita and Delray, that they can do something down there as well, we don't know. But if we can become a pilot project, we'll see how it works.
yeah, that'd be great.
Hopefully we find a body to sit in the car.
Well, that'd be the other thing too,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's,
Because they would need training,
There's
Yeah.
training.
Right.
yeah, there's
Okay.
training, there's two different courses, level 1, level 2, I think it's about 6 weeks total.
I see.
And, yeah.
And they have tools too, like they're not just gonna be sent out with a plastic badge and,
Oh,
you know, like
right.
they will
Yeah,
have
that's
the handcuffs
the thing.
and the, different, they won't have a gun, that's pretty much the
Right.
only thing they
They
don't
go
have.
to baton and pepper spray and,
Yeah.
and they have to learn, like, they have to learn all kinds of things, traffic act stuff, they have to learn, transport, DOT stuff, like,
Mhm.
truck safety, that kind of stuff, so it's fairly rigorous. It'd be a long 6 weeks training,
Oh,
for
I
sure.
would imagine, yeah,
Yeah.
difficult. You
Yeah.
know, it's not meant for necessarily meant for anybody.
No, for sure.
Right, it's-
It's interesting, there's been other areas that have had this, some of these folks have used this as a stepping stone to try and get into the police work.
Right.
So, and we'd be happy with that, if we get
Yeah.
local people that want to become police officers, and this can help on the way, it'd benefit all of us, for
Yeah,
sure.
wouldn't it?
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Coincidentally, you know, like I'm interviewing an RCMP officer in my next little taping after.
Perfect.
Gonna meet at the door.
Perfect.
Yeah, so yeah, it'd be interesting to, you know, hear about what, you know, he's gonna be talking about recruitment and
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
definitely,
They've
They're-
been very supportive.
yeah, they
of the
are very
program,
supportive.
too.
awesome.
Yeah.
There's a couple of areas that have them, Portage Prairie and Thompson both have them, I mean, it's totally different communities,
Mm-hmm.
but they have RCMP. Many of the other communities in the province that have them have a local police force.
Right,
And so the local police force would actually directs the CSOs, whereas the RCMP, they don't be directed by us.
okay,
But the RCMP is aware, and they work together. There's a
Right.
small community in Saskatchewan that is very similar size to us, that's
Okay.
worked very well there, where they work very close with the RCMP.
right,
So, and they assist the RCMP doing traffic, traffic control after accidents, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
You know, and then they can do prisoner transport, medical transport, that kind of stuff as
Yeah.
well. So there's a lot of things they can do. and
right,
It's just the RCMP, obviously the RCMP, the reason he's coming here, they're short-staffed, they know they're short-staffed,
yes,
and
yeah,
they'll use any assistance they can get. So
Yeah.
it's something we're pretty, we're kind of excited about, we just want to figure out the
Mhm.
funding.
right. And I can tell, you know, just by talking to the three of you, you've definitely been, you know, doing some research and, you know, really digging deep into see how this could potentially work for our community. So it's not just, you know, we think this is a good idea and let's go
Let's
for
cut a
it.
check.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, some real thought and that has been, I know you do that for everything, but I can tell.
Well, we do, and that's.
You know, you're passionate, the passion I can hear.
And that's what I'm sure every council has people that are dedicated, they're there for a reason, but the council we have, we're fortunate because everybody's so engaged and it's just a great group and we're getting a lot of stuff done and none of us done, you know, willy-nilly. It's just a whole lot of thought was in
Yes,
everything
yeah.
we do, and it's just, I appreciate the whole group. So the last thing I did want to mention, we talked briefly about the property inside in town and stuff for sale.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that
Bruce hit
question.
most of it, but what we're gonna, once our operations manager and whoever else is assisting, all of us at some point have to figure out pricing now. Once we get some lots identified that we can actually get services to and sell,
Right,
you're gonna start seeing signs pop up,
Right.
right?
Makes
Because people
sense.
know what's
Yeah.
for sale, what's not for sale. There's a whole bunch of grass in town, whose is it? So once we determine that we can get water and sewer there, because you can't to all of them right now because of the issues we talked about earlier. Once we get that figured out and get a price in our heads, we're gonna put some signs up and start, hopefully get something moving.
right. Yeah, well, that's, yeah, good news there too.
I think so, it's gonna happen in the very near future, actually, yeah.
Awesome.
You know, everybody in the office is juggling some balls right now because of budget,
Oh,
but we'd like to get this done kind of concurrently right now
Mhm.
and just get a few signs in the ground to start,
yeah.
so.
You know, being the mayor and the deputy mayor and the councillors, like, I know this is not like a, you know, mostly a volunteer job. You know, it's not no part-time job. I feel the work and the hours that a lot of you are doing are equivalent to a full-time job, and you know what? Thank you from me.
Well, yeah.
And I could probably speak for the whole community, but I see the work that's happening, and I think it's amazing what you're all doing, and I just know the commitment that you all have, and yeah.
I think
So
we're all
we appreciate
passionate
it.
about the community too,
Yes.
so that really drives us into
Yeah.
wanting to work hard and do the best we can.
Yeah, wonderful.
We didn't get it for fame and fortune.
Oh, well, I know that,
No
but,
question. No, we appreciate your, what you're saying, Jackie, and, you know, we're, again, like Kim said, we're passionate, and we're collectively doing what we think's in the best interest of the community, and with the group we have, it's been, from my perspective, been very rewarding, and I've loved every minute of it. It's the most fun I've had in a long time.
excellent. Well, when you're having fun, that's
Yeah.
the biggest part.
And we're lucky enough we get to make some of those tough decisions on the budget, right? So why
Mhm.
can't we pave a street, or, so there's a lot of, not sleepless nights, but you try and get as much done as we can, and we're at the
Right.
mercy of what revenue we have. And
Right.
so-
Sleepless nights, there's a lot of mornings we'll meet up in the office, and one of us will be one, yeah, I was thinking last night.
Yeah, what time is that?
It happens all the time. It's
Yeah.
actually, yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of strange, but.
I thought it was because I'm getting older, I can't shut my brain off, right? You get home, you get
Mhm.
thinking of all our meeting, like tonight or
Yes.
last night, or our budget meetings, you get home, well, what if we did this, or?
Yeah, yeah.
Then I come back with an idea that everybody kind of looks at, yeah, where did that come from? So,
yeah, that sleepless night,
Yeah,
at
yes.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, it's, from my perspective, very rewarding, and just look forward to keep doing it, keep doing, and, you know, it's baby steps, because every single thing we do, there's a cost to it, right?
Right.
And so you try and just make the most sensible decisions you can and then go forward.
You know, this has been the second time, Dwayne, you've been here, and I've enjoyed having Bruce and Kim here, and I quite like having, you know, this particular format, and I think it's good that you're coming and, you know, sharing things so that we can share with the community and help them better understand how the function of the municipality works, and yeah, for them to learn, and maybe, yeah, give them that perspective of the other side of, you know, say for example, the water treatment plant, you know. Would anybody have just known about the pre-treatment? Likely not, right, unless there was a conversation, but what good information for people to know.
Well, I appreciate you having us, and, you know, I think it's important, like I've been on several times with yourself and with other hosts, and it's important that people realize that it's a 7-person team, and every one of the people on council does a ton of work.
Yes.
A ton of things, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and you know, I appreciate what your kind words were earlier on the effort, but it's important that everybody knows that it's 7 of us.
Yes.
I'm the dude that kind of sits in front of the camera more often than not, but I'm just one of 7, and I appreciate the whole group, so.
Yeah, wonderful.
And we are backed up, or we're working with some fabulous
Yes.
Totally.
admin staff, public works staff, water
Yes.
treatment plant, complex staff, like, we have a lot of good things going, so our job is made easier by the people we have working for us too. So
Absolutely.
they're
Absolutely.
providing us the information so that we can make some of these decisions
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
build those plans, so.
Yeah, that's,
Absolutely.
sounds like an awesome place.
Yeah.
We're an awesome community, so.
Well,
It is.
in a couple of years, in a year and a half.
Oh goodness, no, well, we're not gonna talk
Well,
about
when
that,
you-
we're gonna like,
When you're working at the water treatment plant, you can't run for council.
okay,
yeah.
okay, all right, okay, good. I'll have to really weigh
You're
out
safe.
what I might like to do. Well, with that, I think we can wrap up our time here, unless there's anything else that, perhaps we missed, or you have
We'll just book
the
another day.
last. Okay.
We used up enough of your time, and again, we appreciate it very much, and, look forward to the next chat.
Okay, excellent. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Jackie.
This has been Spotlight on Souris for Wednesday, March the 26th, 2025.